Hello and welcome back to my channel. For those that don't know me, hi, my name is Amy and on this channel I post about frugal living and feeding your family on a budget. I am sorry, I know I haven't been around much over the last few months. Life has kind of gotten a bit complicated and got in the way, but I am back now. So for all of those that have subscribed recently, there are so many of you now, thank you so much for subscribing, and I hope that you find some useful information on this channel. So today I wanted to talk about a no spend challenge. This year we are doing a no spend year, so we are doing it for the whole year, and I wanted to explain a little bit about what a no spend challenge is and how we're planning to do it and the benefits long term of doing a no spend challenge. So first up, a no spend challenge or no buy challenge is not about spending absolutely nothing. It's about spending nothing on things that aren't necessary. So obviously you have necessary costs throughout the year. So you have to pay for your accommodation, you have to pay for your food, your utilities, all of those sorts of things. Those are all kind of excluded from the no spend or no buy rules. Everybody will have their own kind of version of a no spend challenge. For us, we will be spending on our house, we will be spending on our food, we will be spending on our car, as it is essential for us to have a car for both of us to travel to work. Public transport isn't an option due to different shift patterns and things like that. So public transport is not an option, so the car is excluded. We also have certain contingency funds for certain things to do with the girls. In terms of Ian and I, we are not spending on clothes, we're not spending on any kind of takeaways or anything like that. Basically, we are not spending a single penny unless it is a necessary item. For the girls, we do have a slight contingency fund, so things like we are now homeschooling again, and that has brought some extra costs with it. So those we are excluding from the no spend as they are essential. Education is essential. So if the girls need something for homeschooling, that's something that we're obviously going to be providing for them. So if you're thinking about starting a no spend challenge, I thought I would put together a list of things that we've kind of learnt along the way that are really important to being able to just help you be successful with it. And the first thing is to know your reason why you're doing it. Now this may change as you go along through the challenge, but you need to have a reason for starting it. Your reason could be as simple as wanting to save for something for the future, or even just to kind of be more aware of where your money goes. Because when you're not allowed to spend any money, you really do think about all of the things that you would normally buy without any real need for them. So it really does start to make you aware of things. So knowing your reason why and having a goal at the end of it is really important to keep you motivated. And I would say to write that somewhere, put it somewhere really visible. The second thing that I would say to do, and again write them down, is to set your rules. How long you're going to be doing it for. Even if you extend that period of time because you initially say you're going to do it for a week or something, and then actually it's going really well, so you decide to extend it to a month. Whatever that time period is, write it down, and also write down what is allowed and what isn't. By doing that, and by giving yourself a visual sort of tick or a cross, it just helps to keep things simple in your mind. And you might include a certain amount of contingency money for a certain thing. So maybe that you can spend as a family on days out or something like that. You might have a little contingency that you allow for that to make it just that bit easier for your family to then stick to the other rules that you've got in place. That's absolutely fine. It's your challenge. You get to set the rules, and whatever's going to work for you is what you should be doing. Third thing is to go through your house and actually see what you already have. A lot of the time, something that you feel you need to buy, you may well already have in your house. So this is something that If you watched my previous videos, you will know that I talk about doing with food all the time before you do your food shopping. But go through your cupboards and work out what food you've already got before you then start buying other bits and pieces. You might already have pasta in the cupboard, then you don't need to buy it. And it's similar to that, but somewhat larger scale. Quite often you'll find that toiletries and that sort of thing and beauty products, you've actually got a lot more than you realised you had. While you're doing your inventory of your house, also do your inventory of your habits. Now this one I think sometimes can get overlooked, but I think it's really, really important. If you have a particular time of day, for example, that you spend money, maybe it's when you're on your way to work and you know that you always buy a coffee or a snack or something like that on your way to work. Instead of allowing that to happen, change your habits slightly, change your routine a bit to make sure that you can either take something with you or have something before you go. So if you can think about the times when you're spending money, then you can look at the ways that you could change your habits to make things slightly easier during your challenge. Go through your statements. This is where you should always start before you're setting your budget and things. Go through your statements, work out where you're spending money, work out the areas that you're spending money and where you can cut back. Some areas you might be able to, as part of your no spend rules, cut them completely. Takeaways, for example, or a coffee or something like that, you could just cut those completely from your budget. You do need to be realistic though when it comes to actually planning your budget for things. If you're currently spending £100 a week on food, do not try and set yourself a budget of 30. It's unrealistic and you won't be able to stick to it. So maybe start by just trying to bring it down each week so that maybe by the time you get to the end of your challenge, you're at the point you want to be at. If you come too far and try to bring it back too much, you might find that you end up stopping and quitting the challenge because it's just unachievable. So smaller goals, lots more frequently, you might find much easier to manage. Another really important area to consider when you're looking at your budget is to maybe think about sinking funds or little contingencies for certain unforeseen things, so that then things aren't having to come out of your main budget, which can make it feel like you've in some way failed at your no spend challenge. Things come up, things happen, emergencies happen, cars break, you know, things happen, life happens. If this last year has shown us anything, it's that you can't predict the future, and you do need to allow yourself that little bit of freedom so that you know that if something does happen, it's okay, you haven't failed. Now, as a caveat to that, do not give yourself sinking funds for everything. Otherwise, you know, if you've got a takeaway sinking fund, you know, you could spend so much money in the wrong areas. Think about birthdays and Christmas and how you're going to handle those situations. So there are so many different wonderful gifts you can give as homemade gifts. So maybe you could make things rather than spending money, or maybe you'll allow yourself some money in your budget to then be able to buy gifts at a certain time of the year. So have a think about it and see what's going to work best for you, but do plan something in for those times during the year. Otherwise you will come to them and then it's quite easy to start to feel guilty and under pressure, whereas if you can plan for it, it's going to make it much simpler and much less stressful to get through your no spend challenge. The other thing that's really, really important when it comes to these challenges is if it's not just you, if you have a partner or children, anybody around you, get them involved with it. It's so much harder to try and do this challenge if those around you aren't being supportive. And they can't be supportive if you don't let them know what you're doing and why you're doing it. So whatever your reasons are, let people know. They don't have to be completely on board with it. They might think you're completely bonkers, and that's okay. But if they don't know what you're doing, they can't support you. So just let people know. The last thing I'd like to say is to be kind to yourself. This is called a challenge for a reason. And depending on what your current money mindset is and the rules that you're setting for yourself will sort of determine the level of challenge that this is. But whatever you decide to do, it's hard. You are restricting yourself on an awful lot of things, and that is hard. So be kind to yourself, give yourself some time, give yourself some little rewards. Maybe that's going for a long walk, or maybe it's having an hour in the bath, or something like that. Just something for you that is a nice little reward for yourself. Try really hard to make it a no spend reward though. So I hope you found that useful, and if you are attempting your own no spend challenge, do let me know in the comments down below. If you've liked this video and found it helpful, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe and stick around to see more from me. Like I said earlier, I am back on YouTube, so yeah, depending how things go with homeschooling, I will be posting at least once a week now, and hopefully a lot more than that. And I'm also going to do a lot more of the food content on the more frugal family meals that I cook, so I'm going to do a lot more recipes and stuff as well, and also a lot of frugal living tips, particularly as we go through this no spend challenge. I'm planning on posting on here and keeping you guys updated with just the different ways that we're finding to deal with challenges as they come up. I will see you in the next video. Bye!